Welcome to the travel guide of Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka has to be one of the greatest travel destinations of all time, a beautiful tropical island in the middle of the warm Indian Ocean waters. 3 weeks is an ideal length for a Sri Lanka route, as you cross through the jungle, mountains, tea plantations, and paradise coastline. Start in big metropolitan cities and end your time relaxing on beautiful beaches with a coconut in hand. Everything you could possibly dream of is in this beautiful country with the perfect Sri Lanka route. Sri Lanka's compact size and cheap public transport system make it a real joy to travel around, with trains and buses ferrying wide-eyed visitors between hazy cities and greasy hill towns in just a matter of hours. Arguably, the country is at its very best when you leave the beaten path behind, hopping on a local bus to find temples or tea shops in villages not marked on the maps. However, there are some places that simply can't be absent from any half-decent Sri Lanka itinerary. Rising dramatically from the country's central plains, the enigmatic rocky outcrop of Sigiriya is perhaps Sri Lanka's single most dramatic sight. Near vertical walls soar to a flat-topped summit that contains the ruins of an ancient palace, thought to have been the epicenter of the short-lived kingdom of Kasapa. The early morning vistas across mist-wrapped forests are spellbinding, but make time for the fascinating on-site museum too. Once you've scaled the rock, try trekking up neighboring hills for unbeatable views of Sigiriya, towering above its woodland surrounds. Mirissa, even the name of what is arguably Sri Lanka's best beach, sounds somehow paradisiacal, and few travelers feel disappointed when they see it in person. A lush stretch of powdered white sand set against cerulean waters. Throw in a few thickets of palm trees leaning lazily overhead, and you've got a beach bum's dream. In truth, a number of the beaches along the south coast, including Galle and Onowatuna, are ideal for a few days of serious sunbathing and splashing in the surf, with beach bungalow accommodation and happy hour cocktail deals to boot. Sri Lanka has historic sites to spare, but Anuradhapura is something special. Dotted with towering, bowl-shaped dagobas, stupas, ruined monasteries, and sacred tanks, this is where Sri Lanka's spiritual history bubbles to the surface. In the center of the compound is one of the world's oldest trees, Sri Mahabodhi, grown from a cutting taken from the tree that sheltered Buddha as he attained enlightenment more than 2,000 years ago at Bodh Gaya in India. A day spent cycling rented bicycles between these colossal structures that loom large above green treetops is one that won't be quickly forgotten. For more dagoba spotting, head 13 kilometers east to the sleepy village and temple complex of Mentale. Rattling through emerald tea estates on the Colombo to Ella train, with the wind in your hair and the scent of the tropics on the breeze, is the stuff of travel dreams. But what awaits you isn't too shabby either. Ella is the place to ease off the travel accelerator with a few leisurely days resting in your choice of some of the country's best guest houses. Don't be too laid back, though. Definitely make time for easygoing walks through tea plantations to temples, waterfalls, and viewpoints. After building up a hiking-inspired appetite, look forward to some of Sri Lanka's best home-cooked food, paired with a reviving cuppa. Far more than a springboard to other sites, continually overlooked Colombo has a lot to offer visitors if you can get to grips with its rather disjointed layout. The British were responsible for the railway tracks that cut the city off from much of its ocean shoreline. They also dotted the city with landmark buildings, particularly in the colonial-era Fort District. Explore beyond the noisy arterial roads running north-south through the center, and you'll find centuries-old churches, colorful temples, manic markets, and atmospheric drinking dens, including Traveler's Bar with placating views over the Indian Ocean that'll make you think twice about rushing to head elsewhere. Sacred to Buddhists, Hindus, Muslims, and Christians alike, Adam's Peak, Sri Lanka, is all things to all people. For over 1,000 years, pilgrims have trudged by candlelight up to the summit, to stand in the footprints of the Buddha or Lord Shiva or the biblical Adam. Depending on which tradition you subscribe to, contemplate the cosmos and admire the stunning beauty of the hilltop, where, according to locals, the island's butterflies go to die. Today, tourists join the throngs of local pilgrims, similarly bewitched by the magic. Once the center of fierce fighting, Jaffna and the northern islands have been rehabilitated, offering a fascinating vision of the Sri Lanka that could have been if, in the island's history, Hinduism had gained the upper hand. Everything seems different up north, with staccato Tamil replacing the sing-song sound of Sinhala, dagobas, stupas swapped for colorful Hindu temples, and a menu that looks north towards India. Jaffna itself has never looked better, with new hotels and a revived sense of purpose. Rent a bike and catch a rickety ferry to islands such as Niduntavu, far, far away from the tourist crowds. Man and nature joined forces in Galle to produce a living work of art. The Dutch built the streets and buildings, the Sri Lankans added the color and culture, and then nature got busy covering it in a gentle layer of tropical vegetation, washed over by the salt sea air. The result is an enchanting, UNESCO-listed city that keeps culture vultures entranced with landmark buildings, art galleries, and museums, plus a side order of quirky, cosmopolitan places to stay, eat, and shop. For tourists, it's without doubt the #1 urban attraction in the country. Sri Lanka's ancient cities may have the longer history, but Kandy has the power of belief on its side. The island's cultural capital is famous as the setting for the temple of the sacred tooth relic, whose central shrine is said to contain a tooth of the Buddha himself. For the Sinhalese, this is the holiest spot on the island. For tourists, Kandy offers more corporeal rewards. Nostalgic wanders around the old quarter, striking views over the central lake, a clutch of interesting museums, and, in the vicinity, some of the island's best botanical gardens. The crowds hightail it to nearby Galle National Park, leaving Bundala National Park in a state of blessed serenity. Head here from Tisamaharama or Hambantota, and you'll enter a fantasy landscape of islets and lagoons, whose shimmering waters ring with the sound of birdsong. Bundala has a beauty that other parks cannot match, and huge flocks of migratory birds from December to March make this one of the finest birding destinations in the country. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please do not forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share.